The first nekuda is Avedas Ovid. It's an aknecht. V'gam yizbeinin, you should also contemplate Eich she'eir ein tzev baruch hu, that the infinite light of the Eibishter has save of kalam, umemala kalam, that surrounds and encompasses the worlds, fills the worlds. Who ratzon ha'elyon is the will of Hashem. Now I want to add a diuk. When Alter Rebbe says the lashon ratzon Hashem, ratzon ha'elyon, he means Ein Sof, but he doesn't mean stam ratzon. He means what Alter Rebbe called in Tanya Perichov Gimel, Pnimius ratzon ha'elyon v'chaftzei amiti. Hashem has many ratzenis. Hashem has a ratzon that people should have potato chips also. But what's the real ratzon? Pnimius ratzon v'chaftzei amiti. It's Teira mitzvahs. And you do the whole sugya arucha that there are many chitzenius ratzons. There's only one pnimius ratzon. A person wants to live. Ubemele, he wants money, and he wants a home, and he wants shelter, and he wants warmth, and he wants food. The dikir is a vil Pnimius ratzon is one. Pnimius ratzon comes from the etzim, like we're going to have soon in Samachei, in the sugya of mitzvahs. Chitzenius ratzon is many. When he says that Ein Sof, which is ratzon elyon, is in mitzvahs, he means Pnimius ratzon. Pnimius ratzon Ein Sof is melubish in every mitzvah. So as the Rebbe melubish is invested be'esies v'chochmas ha'teira, in the letters and the wisdom of the Torah which he learns. Ein Sof is Begili and Torah. Oi, b'tzitzis and tefillin. Again, using the same dogma we had before of tzitzis and tefillin. That in the tzitzis and in the tefillin there's pnimius ratzon v'chaftzei amiti Ein Sof. And therefore, u'b'kriyasei, when a person reads Torah, kriya means Torah shebeksav mikra. Oi b'levishasei, when a person puts on talis and tefillin, levushim mitzvahs. Who mamshech eiri is baruch Allah. He's bringing down this infinite light of the Eibishter, which is ratzon elyon, pnimis ratzon elyon unto himself. The Hainu, in other words, that when you learn Torah and do mitzvahs, you're bringing down the part of Hashem from above, which is in His body. You're bringing an Ein Sof ratzon elyon, and it affects that the neshama should be libatel v'likala, should be nullified and uplifted. Bechinas chachmasi obinase, shebenav shalakis, the chachma bina of the person's neshama, bechinas chachmasi obinase, in the chachma bina shall ein seiv baruch hu of the Eibishter. Hamalubashis, which are revealed in this world in Yiddishkeit b'chlal, and derech pratin, particularly in bepashes kaddish v'haya kivyacha. Kaddish is chachma, v'haya kivyacha is bina, shma v'haya mishameya is chesed das. Nete klapi chesed and das nete klapi gvura. They state in Kabbalah. So every mitzvah has Ein Sof, specifically Chochmah, Kaddish, and Kiviyacha are Chochmah Bina. Ein Sof are the kinds of the Chochmah Bina of Atzilus, and when you put on the tefillin, the Chochmah Bina of the person. The Hainu, in other words, when you realize that Ein Sof is mislabish in your Chochmah Bina through your Yiddishkeit, so in addition to the point we had in yesterday's shir, of Avedas Ovid, of Bittel, there's another thing. And that is, Shalei le'ishtamish, you don't want to use your wisdom and understanding in your soul, built in the Shem Levade, only for the Eibishter. Since, when I do Yiddishkeit, Mamshech Pnimis Ratzon Elyon, Ein Sof into me, I want it to be exclusive for the Eibishter. So what's the second point? The first point is, I'm a knecht of the Eibishter. And the second point is, and I am nothing else. Only a knecht of the Eibishter. I have no other priorities. V'chein, moreover, libatel v'lichlal, to nullify and to include. Bechinas hadas shebenafshe, the madreg of das which is in his neshama. The das is hakoilel chesed u'gevura. Das includes chesed u'gevura. Shein yir v'ava shebelibi, which is yir and which is in his heart. The bechinas das elyon, the higher madreg of das elyon. I don't know what that means. The das elyon is hakoilel chesed u'gevura, includes chesed u'gevura. Hamelubish, which is invested with Pashas Shema v'ho'yim shemei. So when I realize that my brain and my heart and my body become a keli for Ein Sof, so the key of my mitzvahs, I want it to be exclusively a mekava for lakus and not a mekava for shtus. That tefillin includes the brain and the heart. Kaddish v'aykiv is the brain, Shema is the heart. And he continues. When a person puts on tzitzis, it's also mamshech Ein Sof. Yechav, and the kavanah is, like it says in the Zayar, Lahamshich alav, to bring down upon the person Malchus Yisbarach. Tzitzis and Tefillin are connected to Sfiras and Malchus. Asher hi Malchus kol olam v'chol Hashem is the king over the whole world. Liyachta aleinu, that Hashem specializes his melucha and Yidden befrat. Al yedei mitzvah zu, through this mitzvah. So you have Tefillin and you have Tzitzis. And these are only dugmais for all the Tayag mitzvahs, that each mitzvah is Mamshech Ein Sof, which is Melubish and Otzneli. So the Rebbe is saying again 2 points. Number 1, be bottled to the Eibishter. And number 2, be bottled only to the Eibishter. Because your relationship with the Eibishter brings Ein Sof into you. And he touches. These 2 points are like the idea of same, Tosim, Melech, Melech. You have to make the Eibishter your king. What's the pshat? You make the Eibishter your king. You make yourself his Eved. And his Eved to the exclusion of everybody else. Vazai, so then, even if still, loy tipul olav aim of a fachad, for some reason you're not able to develop actual awe and actual fear, 6 lines from the bottom of page 112. Biz galus libi, which is revealed in the heart, says the Rebbe Mekom, it doesn't matter. Because the key is not how you feel. The key is what you experience in terms of veklik, bitl, avdos. Since you accept the Eibush as your melech and you're his subject, you actually make yourself fear the Eibush. Be'ez galus, which is revealed in machshavte retzeinei, in one's thought and one's will, in his brain, through being mizbeinen, in the fact that Eibush is miyached yichudei leinu and Allah befrat. Says the Rebbe v'Kabbalah zui amitis. And when a Yid makes the Eibush his melech, and when he commits himself to be the Eibishter's Eved, and he says, I'm going to be exclusive, no tzaddis, I belong only to the Eibush and nobody else, says the Alter Rebbe, this acceptance is amitis b'lisham safek, it's for sure true. Tanya, bist a bluffer, you don't mean it. You say you're Hashem's knecht 5 minutes before you did Navera, 5 minutes later you can have machshava zore. You're no knecht, says Alter Rebbe, don't matter. The Kabbalah is amitis. Why? Because this bittul, this Kabbalah sale, is not coming from the Mechvalev. It's coming from the Neshama, from what's called Klolus Yisrael. And in Klolus Yisrael, everything is emes. The Pintel Yid. The bittul Kabbalah sale comes from the Pintel Yid. Now, maybe your connection to the Pintel Yid has a chesaron, but the Pintel Yid is emes. So your Kabbalah is emes as well. The Kabbalah Zui Amitis B'lishim Safek, this acceptance of the yoke of heaven is for sure true. Shari Tevin Nefashis Kol Yisrael. Notice the word Kol. It's a nature of the Nefashis of Kol Yisrael. Shalei limited Melech HaKadosh Yisbarach, a Yid cannot rebel against the Eibishter because of the kud of Avdas the Eibishter plants in a Yid. What the Frierdiker Rebbe calls a Yid is a Kabbalah Selnik. A Kabbalah Selnik is a Yid. That's not Yiro, that's Avdas. Or a Yid. Nicht der will und nicht der kon. Sein abgerissen von Getlach. This is Avdus. Says the Rebbe Harei. Ha-teira shalemet. The teira that he learns. Or ya mitzvah sha'oise. The mitzvahs that he does. Machmas Kabbalah zu. Because he accepts Eibishter as a melech. Machmas hamshachas ha-yirish b'meichei. And because he brings upon to himself Yireh. So there's 2 pratim. There's the Avdus, which is a bit, the Yireh, which is a midah shabalev, shabamaycha, which is in his brain. Says the Alter Rebbe, because in the pintel Yid it's emes, even though consciously you may not be so honest, nikrois b'shem avoida shleima. It's called the perfect and whole and a peaceful avoida. Top of Nzayin, kechol avedis heved ladeni umach. Like any slave, a slave serves his master. Yeah, what's the point of a slave? I'm not a Metzias. Kikas pehu. My whole reality is my odin. We're going to have later in Samach Hey that a slave can have pleasure from his work. And it's called Tainug HaEved, Hu Tainug HaOdin Mamish. When the pleasure enjoys what he's doing, it's not his pleasure, it's his master's pleasure. That's the Pshat Avdus. And when you say you're makabel to be the Eibish's Eved, because your Neshama means it, what you saying is also true. Chachafilu, consciously, it's precarious, it's weak. Says the Rebbe Mashenkin, as opposed to if you learn and do a mitzvah only with Abba, which we're going to learn about in Mitzvah Shem and Mem Gimel and Mem Dalet and then Vaitir and Mem Vov and Mem Zayin and Mem Ches and Mem Tes and Nun. Kedei ledafka bei to become attached to the Eibishter. I did Tirasli mitzvahs for Torah and mitzvahs. Now, boys, notice. What did the Alter Rebbe say about Ahava? Why do you love? What's the pshat Ahava? Ledafka bei. I'm learning Torah because I want to be attached to the Eibishter, right? What is it called in Lashon HaShas? In Lashon HaShas, it's called Adaita D'Nafshei. What's the lower madreg of Limud Torah? I'm learning Torah Adaita D'Nafshei for me. What's the pshat? I'm learning Torah Adaita D'Nafshei for me. The pshat is Tlas Kishin is Kashron Da B'da. There's 3 knots. Yisrael is Kashron Be'eraisa. Be'eraisa B'Kutsha B'richu. The Yidden are attached only to the Torah, and the Torah is attached to the Eibishter. So why does a Yid learn Torah? Adaita D'Nafshei. His neshama wants to be closer to Hashem, and through the Torah of a connection to the Eibishter. This is called Ledafka Bei. I'm learning Torah so I should come closer to the Eibishter. So it's for me. That's Ahava. I love Hashem sof kol sof because it's in my best interest. Not my best interest pizza. My best interest, I should be closer to the Eibishter. There's a madrega higher than this, which is called Lishma L'Shem HaTorah, where it's not for me. And that's going to be called Ben. And it's going to begin on the next page. And that Ahava has taken the Maila of the Yid we're talking about now. The Maila of Yid is Avdus. Bittul. It's not about me. Ahava is about me. Ledofka Bei is Borich. Daita D'Nafshei. If a Yid could have an Ahava with the same bittul as Yid, Tavi Allah Bracha. But it's not Mukhrach. In Ahava it's a very high madrege bittul. In Yira, the Yisod of Yira is Bittul and Avdus and Kabbalah Seil. That's why the Alter Rebbe says the most important and fundamental avoid in Yid's life is this Avedis of it. Bittul, Yira. Because Ahava is for me, the Dafka Bei is Baruch. Ayadei Terasi Yom Mitzvah through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. Says the Rebbe, if I connect to Hashem, I bring my soul closer to God through learning Torah. Eino Nikras B'Shem Avedis HaEvet. It's not serving Hashem like a Eved. So, what's wrong? Have to be a Eved. Why can't it be a politician? It says in the Pasuk that our relationship with the Eibishter has to be one of Avdus. And we have to serve the Eibishter v'goymer. Now I want to ask you a question. Why does the Alter Rebbe bring 2 psukim? Why does it bring 2 psukim? I don't know, but I'll guess. It's a good answer. Based on it isn't one. But I'll tell you a different answer. That in the first pasuk, the Eibishter is mentioned by name. In the second pasuk, it's called Yossi, him. The pasuk that begins as Hashem lekach tira, veisei ta'aved, uveisid bok, ubashmei tishaveya. But the Aveda says Eisei. Eisei means Kvayachol the Eibishter, which is higher than a name. Eisei really means Tafel. In other words, Vatem Zavayim Lekechem was explained in Chassidus as being Mitzvah Strichas Kavona, you should know. And even Mitzvah Strichas Kavona has to be because of Avdos. But Eisei Tavedu means the Nekuda of Bittel, the Geimer. Look, it says in Zeir, and the Alter Rebbe quotes, Ka'aitura like an ox. The first thing you do is you put a yoke on him. Begin in order. Good should come to the world because of this behemoth. The same is true also. It's important for a Yid to accept upon himself the yoke of the kingdom of heaven at first, and so forth. This is not so much Yira as much as it is Avdus, even though Beklolos it's called Yira. If a Yid doesn't have this bittul, this Kabbalah Seil, this Avedis Aved, Kedusha will not rest. The holiness of the Eibishter is connected to this Avedis Aved. And maybe that's the pshat of what he says about the Ratzon Elyon being Nimshach through mitzvahs Ein Sof. But I mehem Nasham Daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. It also says the same thing. And Alter Rebbe now explains. Or could be that this is for later. Every Yid needs 2 levels. Vein Bechinas Eved is the Madrega of Avedas Eved, which is a Bittul and a Kabbalah Seil of Aveklik. U Bechinas Ben, the Madrega of Ben. Now boys, Ben is not Ahava. Because Ahava is Ledofka Bey. Ahava is the Daita de Nafshe. I love Hashem for me. Ben is going to be the next page, Mitzvah Hashem. The Shir, not tomorrow's Shir. The Shir after tomorrow. Dafnun Zayin Amid Beis. Which is also a very special avodah. But Eved is connected more to Yira. Ben is more to Ahava. But Eved is less than Yira. But it's Atzmi Yizdik. Ben is more than Ahava. And it's also Atzmi Yizdik. Even though Sheyesh Ben, Shu Gamkin Eved is a third Madrege, which is called Ben Shenase Eved, which is discussed by Riches in Samach Vav. Says the Rebbe, Harei Yefshal level of Madrege Zu, this level of Ben Shenase Eved cannot be reached except for Yechidei Gula. Beli Kedimas Yiri Lo, you have to have first the highest Madrege of Yira. Kidu Yedim as it's known. So Ben Shenase Eved is a high Madrege. But Eved and Ben is Shaykhas. So the Rebbe says the first half of Perik Mem Aleph, the union of Eved, and the key is the Avedis of the Bittel, and it has a mile over Ahava, which is a Daita de Nafshe, and you'll see in Mitzvah Hashem the next few days, what's the Pshat Avedis Ben. Klar. Yeah?